Hello, welcome back. It's good to have you join us today again. Welcome to Christians in Politics right here on RTM. I am yours, William C. Loho. Don't forget, RTM is the only place where you get both Christian, both faith, both you get also entertainment and education fused together in one place, giving you the best of the best. And Christians in Politics is one of such programs, the first on African soil, the best ever still to remain. So thank you for being a part of us this morning. Again, today we'll be having a discussion. We'll be talking about something very, very unique about the body of Christ, about Christians' involvement in politics. I don't know where you stand, whether you stand for or again. I encourage you to stay tuned. And if there's someone you need to call to be a part of this program, please make them, begin to text them, begin to chat them up to join the program. It's going to be a very, very wonderful ride today, this morning. So we're looking at some examples from the Bible. We're looking at how it played out in our country, looking at the economy, especially I'm talking about Nigeria now in context, looking at the political system and how we've run it, in comparison with some characters and if there are examples in the Bible. So stay with me. But I'm not going to be doing that discussion alone. I have someone very resourceful in the office, in the studio with me, who is going to be doing this discussion with me, and is no other than tech executive. He is a technology consultant. It is someone you want to really listen to. Please stay with us. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today on the show.
It's a pleasure.
I know I didn't do justice to your person, and pardon my pronunciation of the name earlier, but I would like to start by having you talk to us a little bit. Maybe some persons are just meeting you for the first time on this program. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe one or two of the things I left out.
Okay, my name is Peter Adeoti Madujitime. Okay. From Southwest, a native of Ibadan in Oyo State. I've done technology all my life. I gave my life to Christ at a very tender age, about 13 years of age. I was born into a Christian family.
Wow.
And ever since I've been within the fold. You know, it's a great thing to be on the side of the Lord. I've been around for quite some time. While in school, we did a little bit of politics. Even in office, it played out directly or indirectly too. But that's just the little, you know.
It's okay. You mentioned that you gave your life to Christ early enough, and I think I should start from that point. It means all your days as a fintech personnel, maybe from where you started to where you are now, you've been on this path with the Lord. How would you say it has played out?
It's not been easy, really. It's not been easy. There are quite a lot of ups and downs. If you don't hold your ground very well, maybe one would have gone. But in all, I want to say that, you know, I had speed by the grace of God. Not because of my strength, but because, you know, there are challenges that God also helped me to overcome, you know, along the way in the professional career too. Being in the eye of the storm, you know, if you're a Christian in politics amongst every other people, inter-religious and, you know, different lot of faith, people just want to bring you down for no reason. People want to put a test to you. People want to know where you stand. And then, you know, it's left on you. Would you want to yield? Would you want to be on the Lord's side, you know, even when you are rendering your professional services too?
I am particularly interested in what you just said. Now, people want to, permit me to pick few out of the options you gave. Bring you down for no reason, some want to put you to test.
Okay. I'll give an example. So, I've been a consultant for the first 7 years of my professional career. Okay. Then not too long I joined the bank. I joined the bank through a pastor. You know, he recommended me. And while I was in the bank, this pastor left. You know, he was heading a particular department. And so they brought in somebody else. Okay. And I was meant to do an approval memo, you know, for some stuff related to the unit I managed. And it was supposed to go to my superior. And I remember the amount then, it's particular amount.
Yeah.
And after doing it, I took it for approval so that you could sign to and then it can go to the executive management. My supervisor then turned it down. He said, I should go and double the amount that we needed to get back up. Okay, fine, quite understandable. I did that. I took it back to him again. He said, no, I should go and add another amount again, making times 3. Then I said, for what? He said, I should not question him. And I said, I can't do it.
He's your supervisor anyway.
Yeah. I said, I can't do it if I don't know the reason. And that was the beginning of my woe. I suffered that for 3.5 years. I was on the same level. I would do stuff within the bank. They would give the credit to other people. During my appraisal, it was woe for those 3.5 years.
Somebody is curious. I really want to know. So how did you get past that point? What then became your...
It was really terrible to the point that, I had to get myself engaged in a spiritual warfare. So I was getting to the office very early in the morning. I went on 7 days. So during the last day, it was a fast all through. I would get to the office and I was praying, trusting God. There was a particular song I was singing then. I'll just, paraphrase it in English. It was sung in Yoruba. We got it during, one of the crusades. I told God I was tired about this position and that the Holy Spirit must do something urgent about it. That was the song I was singing. To the glory of God, things turned around. I got a next post in another bank. Everybody in the bank, they were begging me where I was to stay. Not just that, what I had been denied for 3.5 years, I got that post, I only stayed there for 1 year. And I got the other one that ordinarily would have taken me another 5 years, less than a year. Less than a year.
I'm reminded when you said something, I'm reminded of Genesis. Jacob told his son Esau, his favorite son Esau, after that Jacob had taken the blessing, he said, when you get tired, when you become weary, you will break his yoke. I'm just trying to imagine if you had not decided to take up that challenge prayerfully, or as you call it, if you had not decided to go into warfare, it would have just continued.
Maybe if I had yielded, maybe would have been part of, of his team. I learned that before, when I left the bank, he was disgraced out of the bank.
Good.
He was sent out because of what he was doing. Maybe if I had yielded and had been on his path, it would have been a different story altogether. Maybe if I had kept quiet too, and had taken the faith, as one of those stuff that come and go just like that, maybe I would have just, remained in that place. But, praise and honor be to his holy name.
You see, I'm interested because this is Christians in politics. Now, we're learning this because even in the marketplace, there's this argument around the Christian body always that Christians should not be into politics, because it's a dirty game and all that and all that. And yet, the same Christians are encouraged to go into the marketplace. Now, if you had to go through this in the marketplace, not as a politician, so I am wondering what then is the difference. And because I have a personal classic example also of experiences, this was not just a political or personal interest, it was a spiritual attack on the business by a neighbor. But when we took it up in prayer, that yoke was broken. And I'm saying I've seen this thing play out in several grounds, even in education, even in every sphere. So if that plays out, then it means Christians, and if you are able to survive, you're sitting here right here now with me discussing this, that means you made it through all the process, and maybe some others that you have not mentioned. So that is something to really look up to, but we'll come back to that if time permits us. I'd like to ask, if I were to ask you, you mentioned in school, you talked about politics a little bit. How would you describe yourself first? Are you a politician?
I'm not a career politician, but I won't say that if the opportunity comes now, I won't get myself, involved. I remember when I left university, I was part of the Alliance for Democracy, AD. I was the Assistant Secretary Shomolu, and I did it for so many years until we fell out because opportunity came to go abroad for the younger ones, and I had the qualification, but then the opportunity was given to somebody else, so I stepped out. But then I've always followed through. Maybe when the time comes, when the question arises, what is the stand of Christian in politics? Maybe we'll dig more into that. But then, I'm not a career politician, but I'm a political being.
Okay, we'll get to that in a short while. Let me also ask, in that time after your schooling, when you joined the party, what exactly sparked your interest into politics generally and the wider party? Because I understand there were other parties in that season. So what sparked your interest?
So in secondary school, let me take it from there. I was class captain. Then by the time I got to the final stage, I was the senior boy, the senior prefect.
Yeah.
And an incident happened. And because I cannot stand cheating of any sort, particularly taking advantage of people that are less privileged. So I stood up to the secondary school authority, and they thought that it was being confrontational, and I was relieved of my post then. But then, I became much more happier after like 30 years when some of my school colleagues met me outside and said they loved my stand, back then in 1991, what I did, and I spoke for those of them that, didn't have the voice. The same thing also, when I left school, when I was in the university, I was the campaign manager for the president of the student union government. I was involved, in the department. I was the president of the computer association within the department. Within my hometown fellowship or association too, I was also involved in all of those stuff. Now, what was the driving motive? One is for emancipation. The other thing is, for service. Really, we are not equal. Just like fingers are not equal. Some people can be cheated. Trampled upon, their right taken away. Slapped, deprived of what is due to them, and they just take it as an act of God, like that. So sometimes God could bring you up as a voice, through not being aggressive or, want to cause problem. But then if there are other ways of doing it, whether it's good representation, whether it's speaking up, for the people that do not have the voice, I think those are the things that motivated my desire into politics.
Exactly. That's a good motivation, the fight and struggle for justice. Okay, while we hold that to heart, I'd like to ask again, how would you describe now that you've been a part sometime and then you still have an open mind to politics, let me put it that way, how would you describe our democracy, this recent democracy? For more than 20 years, we've run back-to-back elective system of government. How would you say we've thrived with our democracy? How would you describe it?
On a scale of 1 to 100, maybe I'll rate us 35%. People came with high hope and expectation coming from the military role. But then coming into the democracy, the hope was dashed, the expectation crumbled, and the dividend, is just in the hands of the few. And so the overall appraisal for our democracy now is that it's still woeful. It's far below average. This is not the democracy we expect. This is not the democracy as it's being practiced, in Western world, even in African nations that are getting it right. This is not, what democracy really means.
If that I wanted to say the percentage you gave is really, really, but then you've been able to justify your reason for giving that. Let's now isolate it a little bit. Let's segment the dividend as it expected. As a businessman, do you think the government or this democracy had really, okay, maybe at individual level or family level it has not played out well, dividend has not been seen. What about at corporate level as businessmen and organizations? Do you think there's been some advantage for them or favor in that wise?
Okay, I'll be very factual here. I worked a total of about 10 years in the bank, or more than that. Okay. You know, and I'll give example with respect to the real sector of the economy. Okay. And so you see bank declare profits in the region of 500, 600. Now, what we have from the two top banks in Nigeria, Zenith and GT, is over 1 trillion. But then you see industries crumbling. There are no jobs, no employment, you know, and then things are terribly high. So where are the banks making this money?
Good question.
When even there are no good credits to the SME there, not even the MSME. You know, the SME, no credit facility to them. So where are they really taking it? So in a nutshell, you just discover that the money that is meant to go around, particularly to the sector that needed them most, are just in the hands of the few. And they just, you know, round-tripping the money just within this oligarchy, these few people, and their cronies too. Yeah. And rather than the people getting the real dividends of what democracy is, you know, and the benefits it should bring, we're just in the same place. And that's why you see companies are closing down, banks are making huge money. The narratives don't jive. And quite a lot of things. You don't see that in developed countries. You can't make that much and the impact will not be translated to the common man. It will not be felt or sensed or noticed in each household. And when companies are folding down and banks are declaring huge profit, where are they getting it from? Because if you look at all the companies around, whether fast consumer moving goods, you know, whether into production or whatever, they all need some form of FX. When you analyze the profit banks are declaring, you know, about 65% of them are from the FX. So where is it coming from? And these are the things that we need to question. Not just question them or probe into them. As much as they get this money, you know, where is this money going to? To whose hand are we getting this money? Or are just people just taking the money from the CBN, selling to themselves, speculating the prices, round-tripping, and then making few people rich? Is that what is happening? Or the money is really going into the real sector so that we can have the impact, you know, on the generality? I think that is not being done. And to that extent, you know, the dividend of democracy is not gotten. The money that should come out from it, the economy itself, you know, is not healthy. Let's forget about the numbers that, you know, banks or financial institutions are posting.
That's a wide coverage. That's interesting. Now, looking at that being said, because I thought, okay, maybe those of you in the banking sector like you that work hand in hand with them, you've served in the bank, you've also worked hand in hand. Maybe you have a different view as to how they get the money or as to what can be done, but that still remains a bit of a puzzle for all of us up until now. So we will keep that one side a bit, and then we'll continue our conversation as Christians in politics. Now, there's been this back and forth push as a Christian's involvement in politics or political matters. Where do you stand, sir?
I think I go for it. I support it fully. But then, when we say Christian, I want true Christian. Let's qualify it.
Right.
true Christian in politics. We're going to see things done in a different way, and then we're going to see, a lot of changes. But I totally support it.
Now, again, if you support that which you support, and I think which we represent here anyway, is the fact that how do we now get these players in the game? All of the offices, I'm talking about key offices, strategic position, have been manned by non-Christian actors. Now, citing again example from your earlier illustration of your experience in the office and at your boss now, imagine if you were due, imagine if you now come and want to implement change, which was what you tried to do, and that guy, whoever he was, stood against you, not only in that moment, but for a very long time, as long as he had power. He doesn't want you to even come near, let alone get to compete stage. How do we now get past those gates, or how do we now get this access?
Let me give you an illustration. Thank you for that question. See, it is not that you are in a department and the department is supposedly led or headed by a Christian, and every morning, says, let's pray before we go into every meeting. And people pray, truly. But from the start of the meeting to the end, it was all lies that people are giving. You know that that's just a sham. People go with that appellation because of the sentiment and the acceptability from people that, he is supposedly holy. The Bible says righteousness exalts a nation. And righteousness really is not just found amongst the Christians.
Right.
And that's where people are mixing it. I remember when Modi came into power in India, just about the same time our former president came into power too. He had transformed India, as one of the top 3 economy in the world. And from where he came in to where he is now, he had done quite a lot of stuff. But then again, we see Christians that are fortunate to be in position of power, and rather than giving what Christ would have done, fairness, righteousness, and justice, they only enjoy the privilege of the name, but then the greediness and their self-centeredness play out during the administration. And that is what we have now. I think the way Christians should be getting involved in politics should start from sensitization within the local assembly. Let's change the narrative. Let's change this notion that, it's just for the words alone, that we are supposed to be there. The first thing is that the simplest unit of every society is the family. It's a political setup, or it's a political system. The man is the president. The wife is the vice president. When the husband is not around, maybe he went on vacation, the wife comes, into that position. And maybe the first son, will be the speaker or the Senate president. When the mom and the dad is not around, he takes charge, gives, direction to the other people. But this should be done with fear of God, with equity, with justice. Number one is that we need to get our people to know, that we need to remove, they have demonized that word, politics. We need to get rid of that. God is really interested in it. And examples abound in the scriptures that God, because there is order in heaven too. Just as the way you do stuff, there is order in heaven. Jesus even practiced it. It was practiced during the time of the law, the prophet, even until the times of the disciples. There are examples, quite a lot of examples. God never called Abraham into ministry.
Good.
God never called Moses into ministry. These are political administrators. Some are businessmen. Abraham was called into business, and he performed so well in business. The Bible had it in record. He was exceedingly rich. God did not call Gideon, into ministry. He called him, into the armed forces so that he can deliver the people. And people have their different calling. It is high time we get to know that the church cannot function alone. The Bible says we are in the world, we are not of the world. And that's the call for caution. We don't do it the way other people are doing it. We do it as Christians. But as long as we are in the world, we are part of it. For us to abdicate the responsibility of politics and governance to other people is the most stupid and the most foolish thing any Christian can do. And we are going to bear the full brunt of that decision.
I want to even say, are you sure we're not yet already bearing the brunt already? Because as it is now, you've just analyzed from your analysis how that our democracy is at 35%. Now, at 35%, it means there is no dividends. Permit me to use that word now. If there are no dividends, it's not just like there are no dividends to non-Christians or no dividends
Christian
to the church. You get it? So we all are modeled up together. And as far as the political bigwigs are concerned, it is them and the poor masses. So they don't care if you are in the church, if you are a pastor, if you are a denomination. As long as you are not in their clique, you are among the poor masses. And that's not their interest. Now, for sake of time, I'd like you to, let's just touch one of those examples from the Bible. You've mentioned Gideon, you've mentioned Moses, you've mentioned Daniel, good.
The three Hebrew boys.
Right. Now, all of these persons played their responsibility, even in the top offices of, as we'll call it now, governance. How do we get the political elites, especially those of us now, in your terms, the true Christians, to really, really play out or be willing to play out, aside just sensitizing? Because it's one thing for you to bring out a message, it's another thing for people to believe that message and be willing to run with it. Are there other things you think? Because looking at the Bible, truly there've been series of political activities, movements, games, playing and all throughout the Bible. Time will not permit us on this episode to pick one or two of them and really stray a little bit.
Okay, there are quite a lot of avenues and ways to explore. Charity, they say, begin at home. Yeah. Let's not shy away from it. If you have demonized it before as where Christians should not go, I think it's high time in our teachings, on the pulpit, in our meetings, in our fellowship, we should begin to tell our people. Before we go into the example in the scripture, let's give an example that we can relate with. In Kenya, East African country, they used to have a president by the name of John Magufuli, doctor. He was a strong Christian, and on Sundays, he was an usher. He would still go with the offering basket and collect money. And he insisted that he doesn't want security details. But then he was a son of a poor man. But having recognized the two background that shaped his life, his background as coming from, a very small, not too reputable background. And then, the other thing is that he had his savior's interest, that he is an ambassador, he should do things right. Those are the two things that motivated him. And what was he able to do within a short time? He transformed the country. He transformed the country to the point that he was leading by example. On environmental days, he will be the one to go, into the gutter, and a lot of people are following his footsteps. Now, we should stop being Christian just by mouth alone. We should also lead out in example. Now, you asked about how do we get involved aside the sensitization in the church. Yeah. When there are times, when the political timetable is being released, or people are warming up for all of this thing, it should not be a time for us to relax. During the election, Christians see it as a time to watch movies. They don't even have voters card. They don't vote. They care less about it. Oh, that's for the area boys. When it is time to get, the candidates, so what do you want to go? After all, I'm comfortable. But not everybody around you is comfortable. Decision will be made for such people that are not around you, that are not comfortable, and it will impact them. They will run back to you. They will drain that which you think you are comfortable with. So indirectly, the decision will affect you. So what should we do? When the time of electioneering comes, get our people involved. We just don't stop at the talking alone. We want to walk all the talk that we have heard. When it's time to get involved in the political parties, register yourself, show what you can do, stand for your opinion. People will see it. People are tired of greed. People are tired of suffering. They want people that can do things in a right way. Things are really changing. Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso.
Exactly.
I heard another one is happening now in Namibia. A woman president is changing the narrative all across. People are tired of what they are being used to, of them being schemed, being scammed, being deprived of all of that. Let's go with the virtues, that we really have. In Christianity, Bible talks about equity, fairness, love. If love drives us into politics, the narrative will be different. The allocation will not be released into the local government, and then the first thing we're going to do is to go for chieftaincy title, or marry another wife, or keep the money somewhere. Because you know that you are accountable. As much as you are accountable to the people, you are accountable to a king, that will give you the reward. So if all these are the motive for going, I can guarantee that the narrative will change. But then we need to walk our talk, not just, get yourself involved. When the time comes, let us get involved.
Walk our talk. I like that. But I think on that note, we want to wrap up. But before we go, let me give you a minute. Maybe someone else is saying, I love this person. I need to hear, I need to see or follow him. Where can you be found on the social media or any space? I
think I'll give my social media handle. I'm available on TikTok. I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm available on Instagram. And I'm available on Facebook too. You can reach me on any of this. I'll share my social media handle maybe at the next episode.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for agreeing even to come again to have a conversation with us. It's been wonderful. At least you can hear what you've heard. Mr. Peter has been so wonderful, so encouraging, so enthusiastic. You will see, you can feel the fire like I felt it here. Now, if you are a Christian, it's not time to talk anymore, because we've talked about it before. Now we are complaining about it, and both has not helped us in any way. So this is a call for you to begin to take position now. Join the political party. If you feel led, if you feel you are called into that, if you feel you've got what it takes, do not be afraid of whoever is there. Join the political party. Over time, you just might make a difference. But if you don't join, we won't be able to see you to be able to vote for. And for those of you who are not going to join the party, get your cards ready, get your PVCs ready, and be a part of the system. That way, you can make and change the narrative of whatever it is we're going through. Once again, it's been Christians in Politics, and I remain yours, William C. Loho. Coming your way, same time, same station, same day, next week.